Hi there, loving soul. You're very welcome to this channel and to this office where we talk about universal laws and how we can practice love on a daily basis. The subject matter for today's video is all about starting your own garden. And so, as always, part 1 will be us delving more into the facts of the subject matter and the universal laws that are at play. Part 2 will be all about the application and talking about some practical tips about how we can show love towards the process of kicking off your own garden and doing some awesome things that you can do when you're just about to kick off and you are taking those initial steps to start your own garden. And part 3 will be concluding remarks, wrap up, any final messages, and specifically messages from the spirit world, be that the angels and archangels or ancestors, guardian asna, and anybody else who is presiding over this particular subject matter. Now, please feel free to grab a glass of water or a cup of tea or coffee, whatever is your choice of beverage, and we will kick off talking about, starting your own garden. Now, it's a very exciting period of time, and with me today I've got some lovely toys that my toddler likes to play with. She's got a little garden of her own. These are plastic. We've got some peas here, some carrots, and watermelon, red cabbage, and I believe this is a representation of tomatoes, and that's I was just inspired to actually grab them down with me for today's video series because I think gardening and starting your own garden is a fantastic activity that one can do with kids if you've got children in your life. And it's going to be a very nurturing experience for them, I think, learning about growing your own food, be that via toys, puzzles, games that they play, as well as actual gardening process. And so I thoroughly encourage you to consider involving your kids throughout the process of kicking off your own garden. Now, there are many reasons as to why people might decide to actually kick off their own garden, right? And it could be all about you have become inspired to actually connect with nature a bit more, because obviously you will be working with a lot of soil, Mother Nature, and you will be working with plants, seeds, water, all those awesome elements that we have here on planet Earth. And you'll be spending some time outside, right, getting that fresh air, a bit of vitamin D from the sunlight, and it's just a lovely experience. And it is known that gardening can actually help with stress relief, literally. So if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or anxious, or just like your life is getting a little bit too stressed, but you might be considering to start your own little garden. And the beauty is you don't have to have massive area in order to kick off your own garden journey, right? And certainly you don't need much to actually start something. My personal story is that I had a go at kicking off garden around COVID time, when we had our lockdowns. Everybody has had to do something with their lives whilst being locked down, right? I literally ordered a couple of items from our local store, like gardening supplies, because I literally had nothing. I had to do just a little bit of research to figure out, what are the absolute basic needs that you need, and equipment and tools that you need, including things like soil, right? Because I actually live in like a urban area, very much central. I don't actually have a green area. I live effectively in an apartment. We've got a balcony, so we don't have natural green area, no soil, no grass. Like, we had to actually acquire some soil as part of the journey. Now that after a while that fizzled out, and I have just because I got really busy. But I did find back then I really thoroughly enjoyed gardening. Even just growing a little bit of herbs here and there that you can add towards your salads or meals that you're preparing. Just going out to the balcony to grab a few greenies for your meal was just a fantastic experience. And I have recently kicked it off again, just because I think it's a wonderful activity. I am involving my own little toddler throughout that whole journey. I'll definitely just probably add a few photos to this video to give you a bit of a check-in, I guess, as to some of the seeds that have started sprouting, and it's an exciting journey. I'm taking photos, so I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that progress. And something that I've noticed with the advantages of getting that vitamin D and sunlight and having some real fun with my kid. There's also like the physical activity side to any particular gardening, right? Because you're actually moving quite a lot. You might be lifting things, you might be going up and down, you're working with the soil, you're mixing things around. There's a lot of good fertilizers that you may wish to use in order to enhance the quality of your soil. So I felt like I'm a chemist, and I don't really know much about that stuff, and I'm very much a newbie. So if you're a newbie yourself and you just click here, trust me, it's you can start from ground zero without any particular knowledge, and that's another reason why you might want to get into gardening. Gardening is the education element of it. Like all of a sudden you step into this world where you're like, I know nothing about this, but there's so much information out there as to gardening, and there's lots of really good YouTube videos, as well as guides, for instance, from your local stores or your local gardening stores, who may have come up with their own resources, be that in digital format or videos and pictures and whatnot, to actually walk you through the journey of doing whatever it is that you want to do. And that's awesome. Like there's just so much out there that you can teach yourself as you go through this journey. Apologies for that. I had some noise outside that I just wanted to wait out before I resume this topic. But yeah, something I wanted to get into is the beauty and personal lesson that I've learned about this whole wonderful journey of gardening is the patience that it actually teaches you, because of the fact that there's a certain period of time that you have to wait for the beautiful plants, herbs, flowers, whatever it is that you might be growing, to actually go from the seed form into the beautiful plants and growing the fruit that you then can reap, as a result of waiting for a particular period of time, for a season. Apologies if you still hear that noise. I'm not sure what's going on. And so yeah, patience, and living in the world where we are at the moment, where the social media channels in particular, all these platforms have taught instant gratification. Well, the gardening and the process of observing and tendering and showing care towards your plants teaches you patience, right? And I can't think of like a better example, not only for yourself to work on your own patience, but actually if you have kids in your life, to teach them the benefit of going through with a particular project, and the fact that something takes time. Good things require you to wait sometimes, right? Good things take time, and to reap the rewards at the end of the journey, however long that journey might take you. And there's a lot that goes into gardening, and you have to actually apply some intelligence and to research into whatever it is that you want to do, how to kick off. And I'm not going to go into the ins and the outs. There's a lot of information out there, in terms of what you might need to get, including the soil, making sure you have enough water, getting the seeds of the plants that you want to plant, figuring out the location of where you might want to actually grow, set up your garden to make sure that the plants get enough of sunlight, and also to make sure that ultimately you actually create a bit of a plan for yourself that it's a sustainable journey for you. You don't want to overcommit. You don't want to, especially when you're kicking off a garden for the first time, right? It's probably best to go small at first. Figure out just a couple of plants that you might want to grow initially, just so that you get into the hang of things and you figure out the basics, the minimum requirements to garden, and you kick off. You can always build on top of that in due course once you get a little bit more familiarity as to gardening and what it entails. And by that stage you will have the right equipment, the right tools, a bit more education and learning into the process, and you will be, I'm sure, excited to delve into other plants and learn more about other plants and how to grow them. Now, and you know, the sense of accomplishment that you will feel when you reap the fruit of your labor, right? Or you have that season of harvest, whatever goodies that you might get, be that carrots or peas or tomatoes or beautiful gorgeous flowers, because you might be into growing flowers and arranging a different bouquet of colors, right, all around your area. Be that on the balcony if you're like me, living in an urban area, or be that if you've got a much bigger space, playing around with different colours and the textures and the length of different plants. I mean, that's so much fun, right? So much fun and beauty in gardening. Nature is just gorgeous. I'm a big believer that nature is just beautiful. And the other thing that's been keeping at the back of my mind, and it's just this phrase that keeps coming up as to how imperfection is actually perfect, and nature doesn't actually. Nature is actually very, very imperfect. You won't find identical things. There's beauty in the fact that things differ. There's a lot of diversity and variety, and together, when things come together, they're actually the perfect representation of beauty, in my world anyway. I'm a big believer in that. So let's just jump into the universal laws, right? So the first one that comes to mind, there's a lot that have come to mind, right? And I'm just going to mention the cycles and the timing. I'm a big believer in that things happen in a certain cycle and certain patterns, and obviously there's a reason why we have various seasons going from summer, autumn, winter and spring, and you are to grow various vegetables and fruits and whatever plants you might be doing at different seasons, because each unique plant actually requires its own kinds of conditions in which the seeds will grow and the plants will flower, and then ultimately you reap your fruit. So there's a cyclical nature, and that's a universal law. There's cycles, there's seasons, and seasons change, energy transforms from one state to another. The next universal law is all about our beautiful planet Earth. I call her Gaia, and many other people do as well, and in particular the beautiful feminine energy that surrounds the gardening process, right? Because it's all about that growth and that birthing of things, putting the elements together, and then the seed grows, it flourishes into a beautiful plant. The flowers, just open up their heads eventually and show their inner beauty of that nature. And I just love how much feminine energy is in the activity of gardening. And so if you feel like you've been lacking a bit of feminine energy in your life, perhaps doing some gardening can sort of bring you back to that Mother Nature vibes. It will get you into a space, an environment where you will connect with nature by touching the soil, by working your hands through the soil, by nurturing the plants, looking at the beautiful green plants. You will connect with the feminine energy and get some, absorb it into you. And you may have seen in my other videos that I am a proponent of healing energy, in order to help yourself, visualizing in particular green energy or green light, beautiful green light, whatever shade resonates with you, because green is like a healing energy, and plants are naturally, a lot of them are green, right? So green leaves, green grass, lots and lots of green bushes. And so there's a reason for it, that if you're not into visualizing, you can literally physically look at plants, at grass, at trees, and you will naturally get that healing as a result of looking at the green color. And the last big universal law of the day for this topic is all about the energy of the duality of the energy of giving and receiving. So the more you give, and obviously there is an element of you taking action and actions when you are gardening over a period of time, and the more you give, trust me, you will receive back probably tenfold, because the beautiful planet Earth, she just gives us back. The universe gives us, tenfold back if we put in the love, if we put in the care, if we put in the nurturing energy into a particular project. You will receive tenfold back, right? And I would like to just mention a couple more universal laws that are relevant, and it is that soulful appreciation, that when you receive the harvest, you receive the fruit, when you receive the sensation and the feelings of beauty, because you're in awe of that nature when you're looking at those plants or those flowers or whatever it is that you're growing, and just having that soulful appreciation for yourself to have gone through the project, from A to Z, and getting that accomplishment, and also soulful appreciation for our beautiful planet, for that divine mother, for the energy that is being present throughout the journey, and there's only going to be more of it. And lastly, just that beautiful love. The power of love is huge. I'm a big proponent, and I talk a lot about love on this channel, and so I hope that whenever you do kick off your garden, it's actually because of your willingness to show love to yourself and love to the universe, and that it's coming from a place of love, because that's what you desire to do. You have excitement and to follow through with a particular gardening project. With that in mind, let's jump into part 2, which is all about application, and click on the link down below, and I will see you shortly.